The sponsor for this podcast is Blevins Insurance, and here's what their customers have to say. Great insurance rates and customer service. We'll search for the best possible rates through many insurance companies. For more information, go to blevinsinsurance.com or call 765-446-8999. Mindful Businesses with Vidya Iyer from the recording studios of Q1067, Lafayette, Indiana.
The analysis from the group Environment America shows Indiana dumped more than 17 million pounds of pollutants into its waterways in 2012, more tonnage than any other state. 14 million pounds, or about 4/5 of the pollution, was released by just one place, the AK Steel Foundry in Rockport. But the report only uses self-disclosed government data, which leaves out industries such as oil and gas and agriculture.
2014, June. We just heard a clip on WBAA reported by Stan on our NPR station in West Lafayette, Indiana. The analysis from the group Environment America shows Indiana dumped more than 17 million pounds of pollutants into its waterways in 2012, more tonnage than any other state. 14 million pounds, or about 4/5 of the pollution, was released by just one place, the AK Steel Foundry in Rockport, Indiana. In our podcast, we bring to you brands which are mindful in their practices and processes. Mindful businesses, simply put, is sustainable, economic, environmental practices adopted by a business. Today with us, we have Rony Joseph. Rony is the founder and the chief designer at Zojila, a design studio for housewares. He's a mechanical engineer, and Rony's passion for sustainable living, interest in minimalism, influenced the development of every Zojila product. Welcome, Rony. Let's begin. What inspired you to design? What is your thought behind a product,
Good morning to you, Vidya, and thanks for having me on your podcast. I think going to your question, I've always, growing up, loved the earth and the surroundings, admired natural beauty, and was always disturbed whenever I see pollution or things that are in places where they shouldn't be. I think the earth is such a beautiful place, and I always felt that we should be able to leave it when our time is over in better shape than we got it. So that was there in me right from the beginning, all my life. But having become an engineer and having had the opportunity to be in product development, I saw an opportunity, especially after I moved to the US, where I saw the amount of waste that was generated on a daily basis by most people. I felt that there was a better way to do things. And it hurt me seeing all these things that were being thrown out. Here at Purdue University every summer, you can see when students move out, there's mountains and mountains of furniture and all kinds of equipment being thrown out in the waste bins, and then they buy them again in fall. So seeing all that, I felt that we needed to have a better way. The landfills were getting full, and that was actually what led to my wanting to design products that never needed to be thrown away.
So did you have any training in design, or was it just your engineering degree and just your, did you have an art degree? Do you have any other exposure?
I have not had any formal training as a designer, but actually my first job ended up being as a designer at an automobile plant. And then I've done mechanical design in several of the other careers that I've had and jobs. But I was always tinkering around. And finally, it looks like I've come full circle and found what I am really good at.
So how do you say your designs? Like, I love all your products. I have several of them. I've gifted to, as you know, I've purchased a lot of your products and have gifted. And what I like is the simplicity. How do you go about designing this? What are the features? If you had to say like 3 things that you had to do to make the designs design mindful, what would the 3 things be?
Actually, it would be four things. We have a guiding design philosophy, which can be completely embodied by our slogan. The slogan
as a Zojila slogan.
Yes,
Okay.
Our slogan is form, function, for all, forever.
Awesome.
So this, I have to say that this is a takeoff on the original slogan that was created by Louis Sullivan, the well-known American architect. I believe it was in the 60s or maybe even earlier, which the adage was form follows function. And that was a guiding principle for design for generations of designers, where you design the product based on how it should function, and you let the form take whatever the function led it to be. So I was attracted to that design philosophy, and that actually is still one of the guiding principles. But having several decades from when that slogan was first coined, I think we're in a different environment and time in presently, where we need to be considerate of other factors that are affecting our lives and the planet in a way. So I felt that designers need to be looking at other aspects too. So we added the two other words to the slogan, which is for all and forever. And as I will be able to point out as we talk how these things are reflected.
So when I look at your product, I feel that what is sustainable is, or what goes into it being sustainable is, even the use of raw materials is minimalized. Like I know in your napkin holder, the pin that holds a cantilever, you could have put a chunky thing. It seems like nothing, but when you're making thousands of them, that's a waste. So I feel it goes right from the way you design, the materials you use to achieve, of course, these four things: the form, function, forever, and for all. So I think the way you design, the raw material that you pick, and there's no excess waste. And talk about your packaging a little bit.
Yes. Every aspect of running a design business, right from the conceptual design of the product to the final packaging and how it gets to the customer, can be done in a very mindful way. And every stage of it, we like to say that we do what is called design for manufacturing, and we also do design for sustainability. And so the packaging part of it, there's a couple of aspects to it. We have the product itself is packaged in an original box. And there again, we do not do any fancy printing or use any colors. We just use black ink as a way of reducing the impact of dyes and other things. So it's not something that's meant to catch the eye on a shelf in a store, because we mostly sell online. So we have minimalized the need for a very attractive, eye-catching package. Now, the second part of it is when the product ships out to the customer in an outer box, what we have done is we only use recycled boxes for that purpose.
It's a mindset. We have to change that mindset.
Yes. I think it's, and being surrounded by the pristine stuff that is being thrown out once a week, it's very easy to get these boxes. And we do say on our website up front to the customer to expect to receive their product in a reused outer box. Plus, there's the other aspect of that is that it also reduces costs for the customer. You can pass these savings on to the customer. So
excellent, yeah.
Where we spend more money on choosing better materials that will last forever, like stainless steel instead of plated steel, where it costs us more, we have to find areas where we can offset that increased cost. So packaging is one of the areas. And like you said, a customer probably throws out the package within a few minutes of opening the item. So it's a perfect place to cut out on waste. Inner packaging materials that you use, we collect it from other businesses in town. We have people dropping off their packaging materials to our business. So we have never had to buy any packaging materials. In fact, sometimes I collect so much that more than what I need that I am actually able to give it to other businesses that use it, or they might even sell it.
So just to give a ballpark, how many pieces of all your products put together do you sell?
Well, since we sell on multiple channels, and it would be easily probably in the range of about 10,000 pieces.
So about 1,000 pieces a month. So, what I'm trying to bring is that even if you're mid-size, you can implement these practices and be sustainable and be profitable. Reduce your costs, reduce the cost for your customer, and the impact on the environment. So if there is one product you're completely proud of, it's set, you set the bar high for yourself. There is no organization or government agency which is telling you. You're self-imposing these values in your product, in your company, in your practices. So if there's one product which has met your standard, which would that be?
Actually, if I were to look at it from a point of view of which has been the most successful, the most appealing, the most in demand, and
I meant like most in meeting your standards of it being sustainable. It's so which one would be?
From a sustainability point of view, it would have to be the Rohan dish drainer, which was also our first product, because the reason being that this is the one product that has already probably eliminated a whole bunch of tons and tons of waste from a landfill. Typically, even now today, if you look at comparable products in the market, there isn't a single product which performs a function of drying dishes, which is made of 100% stainless steel. It's the best products out there. Some of them are 50% stainless steel, and the rest is plastic. In fact, the drain board is usually the plastic part of the drain. So there is no product, even to this day, 15 years after we introduce a product, there isn't still a comparable product on the market. So the people that have bought the product, they have never had to buy another one. And by the way, we do have a lifetime warranty.
I was just coming to that. Yeah.
Which is what is captured by the fourth word of our slogan, forever. So we have designed it in a way and manufactured it so that it's very durable, and we back it up with a lifetime warranty. We have had to replace it occasionally because there's probably been a weak weld or something like that. But the material itself, it's 18-8 or 304 stainless, which does not rust. So people have been using it for 15 years, and it can still look like new. So from that point of view, that has been the most successful product. Although there is room for design, for improvement in the design, even on that product.
What would you say is the room? What do you think you would like to change?
Well, this is based on customer feedback. So we find that, so let's say we have about 10% of people that return this product for whatever reason. So I have tried to ask them, every time I have a return, I insist on asking the customer what was the reason for the return. About 5% or half, 50% of the people that return the product return it because it is too small for them. The other 50% return it because it is too big for them. Okay. So the good thing is that, which means that it fits 90% of the people.
You cannot please everybody. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So that itself is a huge achievement on designing a product which is so widely used. Everybody's dishes are different from everybody else's.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. So it is an extremely difficult task to design something universal that would fit everybody's needs.
Right.
So that is where the room for improvement is, because the way we could improve on this and make it more universal is by making it a modular design. So people,
or could it be flexible? Can you extend it? Or
you could make it enlargeable, or people could buy specific modules that they could put in and pretty much configure the dish rack that they want.
Right.
So that would be the next step of improving the design.
The sponsor for this podcast is Blevins Insurance. Blevins Insurance specializes in putting together packages for your home, auto, life, and business insurance needs. They are backed by multiple reputable insurance carriers. Blevins Insurance is great at identifying potential gaps within your current insurance policies. They are licensed to serve insurance in multiple states, including Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, and Tennessee. For more information, go to blevinsinsurance.com. BLEVINS insurance.com.
So where are your products manufactured?
Right now, most of our products are manufactured overseas, but we do have a couple that are made here locally. But even the ones that are manufactured overseas, we do have to do a lot of work once we bring them in here. And also, we do offer some of these products in multiple finishes. So we do that here locally. For instance, things that are powder coated. We could offer them in different colors, and we do that locally.
So what about the factories in China? What about their practices? Are you cognizant about their practices? I know it's hard to balance everything. As a business, you have to be profitable. You have to do the design, which is this. So I do not expect you to, hit the mark on every piece of the supply chain, as we call it. So have you visited the factories in China, and what do you think? What is your situation right now in terms of, there is this SA 8000, certification. So, when we talk about mindful enterprise, we talk about, having sustainability in social, economic, and environmental causes, to in all those three fronts. So, in my intro, we talked about the environment damage in Indiana. We talked about the social harm. So the social impact, the economic impact of that. And in your case, in China, the factories there, do they meet all these three marks of being socially, economically, and environmentally conscious? Or do they meet some? Or is there room for improvement there?
From what I have seen on my visits to China, the factories are quite efficient. The working conditions, the factories that do the work for me are in the southern part of China, so the weather is such that you don't need heating even during the winter. So the factories did not provide heating.
Mm-hmm.
The workers were given accommodation. They had places to live, which is typical of most Chinese factories.
Right. Now, because they come from the villages.
They only go back probably twice a year, once in February and once probably in October or something like that. So that's typical for Chinese manufacturing enterprises. Now, from the point of view of one thing that I saw on one of my visits, which was very disturbing, was we do a lot of TIG welding on the stainless steel on the manufacture of the dish rack. And I had asked for a specific type of welding, which is called a T-weld, where one piece of wire butts into another piece of wire from the side so that you don't see the edge of the wire. So this particular type of welding could only be done manually, and it would take a little more time, and I thought it would cost more, but the manufacturer was willing to do it either way for the same cost. Either put wire on wire or do the butt weld so that the edges are not seen. So I naturally, from a design point of view, it was far more cleaner to have the ends not visible. So when I went there, I saw how they were doing it. It was being done manually. And I noticed that the worker that was doing this, he was very skilled because and he was doing it really fast. But at the same time, he was not wearing eye protection while doing this welding.
Wow.
So I asked, why isn't he wearing eye protection when doing TIG welding? And the owner told me that they have the equipment, but they prefer not to wear it because it's in the way. They can't work as fast, or maybe it's makes them sweat after some time or whatever. So I saw that the workers were not going to change the way they're doing it, and they were doing lasting damage to their eyes. So I decided to change the weld design. So I went back to the wire-on-wire design, which is not as desirable, but I managed to do it in such a way that the one wire was hidden underneath the top wire, so it wouldn't be completely seen, but the end would still be there. But I felt I had to do this, otherwise most of these workers would be going blind within a few years.
So which product was this on?
This was on the dish rack.
The Rohana.
So yes, so we have a lot of welds that are now wire-on-wire instead of butt weld. So that was a compromise I had to accept on the design itself, just for the sake of the health of the worker.
So the fruit holders, they are made by a glass company in Indiana, right?
Yes, one of the fruit holders is made in Kokomo Opalison Glass, which is the oldest glass factory in the U.S.
Wow. So how did you find them? And what are their practices, if you talk about it?
Well, they make a particular kind of glass called art glass. So the thing about art glass is you can add all kinds of glass, recycled glass, into that mix, and you can come out with very spectacular, beautiful pieces of sheets of glass. So they can recycle everything into their mix because it's all melted down and reused. So from that point of view, I think they are not wasting any materials. Although from what I have seen, the factory itself being decades old, it's probably not the most efficient in terms of energy use.
Yeah. Well, there's a cost-benefit analysis. I'm just happy that there is a manufacturing right here in Indiana, and you don't have to ship those glasses from China. But then you talk about the shipping costs, that the damage to the environment, just shipping everything from China. So, but we have to sort of balance. We don't have the manufacturing here for the rest of what you have to sell. We have to make it there, because only then can you sell it at the price. And one thing that I want to bring about Rony and his company and his pricing, he wants his goods to be accessible. Often, I think personally that his prices are very, he should price, or rather I should say he should price his products higher so that people understand the value of the effort that's gone in, the quality and things like that. But Rony deliberately keeps it accessible, his prices, for the quality and for the durability and the lifetime warranty, because he wants each and every person in the world to be using a roll-on rack and throw away the and stop using the wire or the plastic ones, which you have to replace every few years. And I think you're inspirational to any young designers. So if there are other designers out there who want to be what you do, be what you are and do what you do, what qualities do you go to design school? Do you go to Pratt, RISD, Parsons, or wherever, or does it need to come from within? What are the qualities which help you make what you become now, and for you to make and design the products? What are the qualities that a person needs to do what you do?
I think the primary quality for that a designer should have and would be very useful is a sense of curiosity and a willingness to question the status quo. Again, I go back to the example of the dish rack. I was so frustrated at the dish rack that I had in my kitchen because I used to do all the washing. I did not like the idea of using the dishwasher, which is again because I questioned the efficiency in terms of water and energy use for the dishwasher. And I actually saw, and also the time, I used to see people pre-washing their dishes and then putting it in the dishwasher, and the dishwasher running and all of that stuff, while the same amount of dishes I could wash at one time and finish faster than the dishwasher. So that was how I decided that dishwashing wasn't an efficient way for me, at least. So I that's why I had to find a good dish rack to dry it. And then I couldn't find one on the market. So that was why I questioned the concept of why does everything have a tray that collects water? Why can't the water drain directly into the sink? So those questionings. And then further and further, once you decide, if you look at the market today, there are several plastic dish drainers that are meant to drain into the sink. They don't do a good job of draining because they don't have the proper slope, or they have they've become out of shape, so the water collects in the middle. So looking at one thing I like to do is, if you look around us, I think nature is the best designer. Nature has had millions of years to perfect everything that we see around us. You can learn a lot of design from looking at nature.
I've never heard that. That's pretty cool.
In fact, the Rohan dish rack, its most effective function, which is in the drain board, to drain the water, is completely taken from nature.
Where would you say?
If you look around you and look at any tree and you look at any leaf on a tree, every leaf has something called a drip tip. So the tip of the leaf is narrowed and in a way that after a rainstorm, the water on the leaf is effectively drained.
Never thought about that.
Yeah. So I started out, I knew this because I'm a nature lover and I knew this about leaves and how they do it. So I said, how could I do the same thing on the dish rack? So initially I thought on the drain board, I should have a tip like the pointed down like the leaf. But then you have to balance it against other considerations. I didn't want a sharp, pointed thing like a spear hurting people. So then I looked around, I had to think about for the solution. And finally it dawned on me suddenly, make the entire edge folded. So the entire edge became a drip.
Yeah, I know that.
Pointed tip.
Right.
And then it also had the additional benefit that structurally it made the whole thing stiffer.
Yeah.
Okay, so minimalistic design, when you asked me that question earlier, it is harder to design something that is minimal than something that is not.
Of course.
The easiest way to make a design is to keep throwing all the features that you want in there.
Yes.
You'll end up with a completely messy design.
Yeah.
To make a minimalistic design is so hard because you are eliminating, but at the same time, from a functional point of view, you're upgrading,
and you're upgrading in some ways the functional point of view.
So how can you perform the maximum number of functions with the minimal use of materials and features? That is what minimal design is all about. And I think the Rohan dish rack, the drain board, does that. I don't think many people know about that, but that folded edge came from nature.
Okay. So once again, you can find the Rohan dish rack at zojila.com. That is Zojila.com. It was a pleasure having you. Thank you to Jim Stone of Q1067 FM, playing the best of yesterday and today in Lafayette, Indiana, for letting us use his recording studios for this episode. Thanks to Jim Stone and Ryan Martin, our technical editors. Music for this podcast is composed by Tatum Gale. This is Vidya Iyer for Mindful Businesses.